Hello, today, Friday, the 21st of February, we see the moon in Sagittarius squaring with the planet Mercury in Pisces and the planet Saturn in Pisces. The moon in Sagittarius is coming out of its last quarter moon phase, the phase that is the midway point between the full moon and the new moon. Last quarter moons are a time of adjustment where we look at our plans and see the things that we can release that have been blocking our path in order to make room for the new beginnings that come with the new moon. It is the energy of making choices and changes that will put things to rest. And the Sagittarius last quarter moon is asking us to be grateful for all that we have. Square aspects are aspects of tension and challenge as two energies come at each other from different angles. Ask each other to look from different perspectives to see both sides of the stories and allow us to make choices and decisions that will allow us to act and move in new ways, allowing us to turn the corner. It brings these energies together and allows them to see each other and compromise before making the choice to move in one direction. So this square between the moon and the sun that formed the last quarter moon in Sagittarius asked us to find the things that we are grateful and move in new directions, to look at our goals and see where we can take action to move in that direction. The moon represents our inner being, our inner self, our intuitive knowing self. And while in Sagittarius, it is asking us to be adventurous in the ways that we move forward, asking us to see things and to shoot forward. The archetype of Sagittarius is the centaur. The centaur is about expansion. It is about seeing what we want, taking aim, and shooting in that direction. It is the energy of adventure, energy of freedom, energy of abundance, and connected to the planet Jupiter. So while in Sagittarius, the moon is asking us to see where we can take actions that will lead to our expansion and growth. So this energy of expansion and growth and moving towards our goals and directions is coming into a tense, conflicting aspect with first the planet Mercury and then the planet Saturn. Mercury is the planet of communication and messages. It represents our communication in all forms, from what we say, our words, our tones, and the thoughts and expressions that make up the things that we give back into the world. It is the messages that we get from the world around us and those intuitive messages of knowing. Mercury is about how we process and see things. And currently walking through the final sign of the zodiac, Pisces, the mutable water sign, it is asking us to look at how our emotions influence our communication, how we can find balance in the way that we communicate, a balance that comes from an emotionally secure place, a place where we know our emotions. We know that they guide us, but they are not the only controlling factor. For emotions, our energy in motion, they're fleeting, they're often triggered, and they are energies that allow us to see and understand how we are feeling. And from that understanding and that point of view, we are able to communicate and move forward. So this square with the moon and Mercury in Pisces is asking us to look at the ways that we are communicating our dreams, the ways that we are understanding where we want to be moving forward. Is there a conflict between the actions that we want to take, the goals that we want to move towards, and the storytelling that we are telling ourselves? Are we telling ourselves that this is achievable? Or are we standing in our own way by saying that we cannot achieve these goals, we cannot achieve these actions, because the universe is showing us that we have the power to expand and grow anything that we focus on, anything that we shoot towards. So it's time for us to get those stories in balance, in alignment, and to see that we can communicate in different forms and still end up at the same place. Pisces, the two fish moving in different directions, connected to this energy of flowing abundance, showing us that as above, so below, that our actions in our inner world will be reflected in the actions in our outer world, and the actions that we take in our outer world will reflect our inner world, allowing us to balance these two aspects of being and find the spiritual connection that's going to allow us to communicate in new forms, to communicate our true desires, to communicate from our inner self. A beautiful, challenging aspect that is going to ask us to see both sides of the story, see where we're communicating, how we're communicating, and to whom we're communicating, and how those communications are something for us to be grateful, but are also something that will allow us to shoot towards our dreams. This second square connection with this planet of Saturn. Saturn is the planet of structures and boundaries. It's karma and the lessons that we learn. It is our taskmaster. It is this energy of getting things done, but it is also the limits and restrictions that we put on ourselves. Limits and restrictions can be both good and bad things. Limits and restrictions are known as boundaries. Boundaries are what hold us in our own energy and allow us to not be walked all over. Yet our limits and restrictions, our boundaries, can cause us to miss opportunities as we stand in fear. So it's an important energy to work with, to understand where our boundaries protect us, where they support us, and where they restrict us. Saturn is also about the hurdles that we come across and how we form structures, routines, and disciplines to build this foundational growth that will allow us to move forward with our plans. From these foundational structures, from the routines and activities that we put into being, we are able to step towards our goals and execute them. It's also the energy of responsibility and accountability, taking accountability for our actions, turning up for ourselves, and being responsible for setting those routines and disciplines into place. It allows us to see the lessons that we have learned, this karmic cycles we are working through, and allow us to integrate those lessons and learnings into being so that we can take what we learn and put it into practice. While moving through Pisces, Saturn has been about having flexibility to the routines and practices that we put forward, having flexibility in our foundational growth, and knowing that our emotions will influence our foundations and allow us to adjust things. As the mutable water sign, Pisces is telling us that change is good. And this transit of Saturn through Pisces has been allowing us to make changes to the ways that we are turning up, the ways that we are taking on our tasks, allowing us to get our emotions behind our actions. For if we want to manifest things into our world, we must have goals and intentions and take actions and get our feelings behind it, for we must be in alignment to achieve and attract the things that we desire. So this square between the moon in Sagittarius and Saturn in Pisces is asking us to see where our structures and disciplines are supporting our movements forward and where they are restricting our movements forward. Sometimes we need to change our routines, change the ways that we turn up, take accountability for not doing the actions that we need in order for us to shoot towards our dreams. Square aspects are looking at both sides of the story. So looking at where our inner abundance wants to move forward and how it is processing and moving forward in our actions and our outer world and our feelings, allowing us to see how our structures and how we communicate those structures are influencing our ability to bring our internal goals forward, to bring our internal goals into being. And as the moon is in its last quarter cycle, waning towards the new moon, it's asking us to release those forms of communication, those restrictions, those boundaries, those structures and routines that are no longer supporting our inner world and our movements forward, allowing us to see where we are restricting ourselves and also to make the decision to change those routines, change those forms of communication, and allow us to turn the corner. Beautiful energies to help support us after this last quarter moon yesterday. and allowing us to change the ways that we are communicating, change the ways that we are turning up. And from these changes and choices, we are going to be able to shoot forward. We're going to be able to put things to rest. We're going to be able to change our storytelling, change our routines, change our responsibilities, and become accountable for the actions that we are taking. From this accountability, we are going to be able to shoot forward. We're going to be grateful for the abundance that we have. And from this gratefulness, we are going to see how we are able to change our communication forms. We're able to communicate from an emotionally intelligent way. And from this communication, we are going to be able to see where we need to take the actions that are going to allow us to move into abundance, move into expansion, and bring those inner goals into reality.